Right, today we are looking at solving quadratic equations using the formula. And quadratic equations are usually written in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. Now, I will put a typical question on the board. So I have 3x squared minus 4x minus 2 equal to 0. So this is a quadratic equation. You can see it looks exactly like that. A is 3, B is going to be minus 4, C is minus 2. And all I'm going to do is substitute this into the formula. I have a saying, if it's got a formula, it's easy to solve. Okay, if a topic has got a formula to use, all you need to do is substitute the values or the values you have into the formula, and then you solve it. Now the formula is giving us x equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Please notice that that divide sign doesn't start from here. It just doesn't cover this one. A lot of people make that mistake and say, well, it's minus b plus or minus. All of this just divide by 2a. No, please do not make that mistake. It is b squared minus 4ac, then all divide by 2a. Okay, solving this question, we are going to compare what a general quadratic equation looks like to what question you're given. And if I compare here, I'm going to write out what I see. I know A equal to 3. I know B is minus 4, because the formula says plus B here. And if B is minus 4 for us to have that, so it's plus minus 4. B equal to minus 4, and also this is plus C, but I have a minus 2 here that tells me that the value of C is minus 2. Once I've written this out, my job is half done. I'm just going to replace all of this with that formula. But then when I am replacing it, I've got to be very careful. Okay, so with this, I have x equal to negative. I'm going to write the negative first because it's part of the formula. And b says minus 4. So there's a negative here, which I've written down, but b says negative 4. So I'm going to write another negative 4. Now, we know in maths that these two negatives become a positive. Okay, so that's negative 4, which is a positive 4, plus or minus the square root. At this point, I would like you to start using brackets. Yes, it says b squared. What's the value of b? Is minus 4. I'm going to square it. Then minus, open another bracket for the term 4ac before doing your multiplication. So 4 times the value of a is 3 and the value of c is minus 2. Close bracket. All divide by 2 times the value of a, 3. Okay. Well, change this back. That's positive. It becomes x equal to positive 4, which I'm just going to leave with 4, plus or minus the square root. Now, I need to remind you, a lot of people make mistakes here. They say, well, it's negative 4. If I square that, I'm going to get negative 16. No, negative 4 squared means negative 4 times negative 4. And negative times negative gives you a positive answer. So this gives me 16 minus, if I multiply out this bracket, I have 4 times 3, 12, times minus 2, minus 24. Okay, so answer minus 24. So 16 minus all of this minus 24, all divide by 6, because 2 times 3 is 6, which I can continue to solve here as x equal to 4 plus or minus the square root. Again, remember, negative and negative becomes a positive. So we have to add those two together to make 40 or divide by 6. The next job for you to do would be to find the square root of 40. You need to find the square root of 40. And the square root of 40 is 6.32. So that means that, check this here, x equal to 4 plus or minus 6.32 divide by 6. As you can tell already, we're going to have two values for x. So the first one is when I use the plus. The second value of x is when I use the negative, which I am going to write out. So for the first value of x, let's call it x1. I have x1 equal to 4 plus 6.32 divide by 6. And the second value of x is when I have 4 minus 6.32 divided by 6. So this gives me 10.32 divided by 6. And 10.32 divided by 6, x1 equal to 1.72. For the second one, 4 take away 6.32 is negative 2.32 divided by 6. So x2 equal to negative 0.397. Final answers, x1 equal to 1.72, x2 equal to negative 0.397. Just quickly to remind you, when you're solving questions like this, you need to watch out for the pitfalls. Pitfall number 1, if your b is a negative number, you need to remember that there is a negative with that formula. So irrespective of what b is, there should be a negative here. And if b is a negative number, it becomes positive. So negative, negative 4. Now, if b was a positive number, say for example that was plus 4. So if the question was 3x squared plus 4x minus 2, then all you're going to have here is the negative and 4. So be careful. Second pitfall is here, and this is why I've introduced a bracket. When you're doing this, always put a bracket around your b and square, put a bracket around your 4ac and simplify. Also, you need to remember that when you square a negative number, you are getting a positive answer. Having done that, the third pitfall is this. A lot of people, when they start solving and they get here, they take away that square root there. They think, well, I'm going to do that. They take away that divide sign, and they solve this. Square root of 40 divide by 6, then add to 4, take away from 4. That won't work. Okay, that divide line has got to go all the way across. You've got to solve this, simplify this, add first, then divide. Take away first, then divide, and you arrive at your final answer. Good luck.